All right, tonight we're going to be discussing the subconscious and conscious mind, and the premise of this, really, like the overall theory, even though it ain't a theory, it's just the way it works, is going to be centered around feeling. So I wrote something up here. I'm gonna read this, and I got a book that I'm gonna talk about slash read from. So I'm gonna go into that, but let me read this to y'all first. I love to think of the conscious mind as a man and the subconscious as a woman. The man does what the woman wants, at least he should, and the woman wants what she sees. Your subconscious is directly associated with your feelings and emotions. So feeling ugly and affirming it to yourself constantly is sent to the conscious mind, which then projects it to your reality. Proverbs 23:7. For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Matthew 12:34, for out the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So I want to talk about this first quote before we even get to, or I'm going to talk about both quotes, but before we get to the book, this is going to open up slash be the bridge that builds the gap between understanding what it is that's meant by the words that's in the Bible, or even just what it means to manifest. So let's think about this sentence right here. For as he thinketh in his heart. I want you to close your eyes. If you're watching this video, you listening, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to think about this for a second. What does it mean to think? To me, if I had to give just a blanket definition, I would say thinking is perceiving one's reality, or rather one's experience in the mind. So if to perceive your experience in your mind is to think, what would it mean to think in the heart? I'm just laughing because, like, I know a lot of people maybe not might agree, but to me it would mean perceiving your feelings and emotions. You think in your heart. If to think in your mind is to perceive your experience in your mind as thought, then to think in your heart would mean to perceive your emotions and your feelings. And so to read that again, instead of saying to thinketh in his heart, let's just replace it with feelings. For as he feeleth in his heart, so is he. So as you feel, as your emotions, so are you. Now, Matthew's 12:34, for out the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Now, this one specifically, a lot of people think the word abundance means good. Now, it's oftentimes attached to good, but abundance really just means, a mass amount of, like a great amount. He had an abundance of gold, or, what have you. So when it's saying, for out the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, it's telling you whatever your heart is abundant in feeling and emotion with, then that's what your mouth will speak. Rather, that's what you'll manifest. Um, and so that brings me directly to Neville. And so this is a book. I highly encourage everybody to get it. I think it's like $30 on Amazon, but it's the collection of his work. So I think it's like 10 books in here. Yeah, like 10, 11 books. So, and honestly, not all the books are long. Some of them are like only 20 pages, but still, they're all very insightful. So today, the book we're going to be looking at is called The Feeling is the Secret. And so this is a very, very, very special book to me, because when I very first I always was into manifesting. I don't like to say when I very first got introduced. And I got a story about that too. I'll probably share. But when I started taking it more serious as an adult, um, this is like one of the first materials I was really, uh, I don't like to use the word learning from. I like to say remembering, but for lack of a better term, learning from. So we're just going to hop straight into this. I'm going to read these few passages and Bible verses, and then after that, I'm going to probably be done with the video. I felt like it'd be easier to sit up here and read, so I'm up here now. The conscious is personal and selective. The subconscious is impersonal and non-selective. The conscious is a realm of effect. The subconscious is the realm of cause. These two aspects are the male and female divisions of consciousness. The conscious is male, the subconscious is female. The conscious generates ideas and impresses these ideas on the subconscious. The subconscious receives ideas and gives form and expression to them. So I want to use well, I'm not even gonna use an analogy. Rather, I'll just say it straight up. So you got really three. I like to say three operators. A lot of people don't really know what the third one is because they don't think about it. Um, but the first one is going to be the conscious mind. So what is that? That's what's, speaking the reality in which you experience. So if something bad happens to you, you say, I had a bad day. That's the conscious mind speaking. But the subconscious is what? Feeding off the conscious mind. So if the conscious mind says, I have a bad day, then the subconscious is going to, when you're sleeping or what have you, create and mimic reality in which the conscious mind's thing comes true. And so what's this third party or this third operator? It's the consciousness, which is us, which is the ability to turn a light off or on, the ability to say, instead of having a bad day, you don't focus on that and you have a good day. So again, the conscious mind is experiencing, and it experiences a bad event, which translates to a bad day. The subconscious picks up on that and in turn formulates or shapes the reality to construct what would result in a bad day. But the thing that can change or almost to say the driver or the train conductor, the one that can change you even thinking was it a bad day, is the consciousness. St. Paul persified it as the woman. It said, the woman should be subject to man in everything. So again, this is reiterating pretty much the fact that the subconscious mind is going to be subjected to whatever the conscious mind is, for lack of a better term, saying or wanting to experience. And what I mean by wanting to experience is quite literally whatever it is that you're saying your life is. So if you say you're broke, if you say you ain't got no money, if you say I ain't got this, I ain't got this, I hate this, whatever, like whenever you're speaking in lack. And even another thing too is like, just because you're not necessarily speaking that thing specifically doesn't mean that you're not putting that curse over your life in general. And so what I mean by that is, say if I wanted to go out to eat with my friends or something like that, and I'm broke and I didn't have enough money, and my friends ask me like, yo, do you want to come out and eat? And I say, no, man, I can't. Now remember, I just said the feeling is what's important. And when I said that was within the two quotes I read off the computer. As he thinketh in his heart, so is he. So as you think, as your emotions create, so are you. So if you tell them you can't go out because why? Because you ain't got no money, it's still the same thing. You're not, even though the words ain't necessarily, and that's where it says even too, the second one in Matthew's, as he's from out the abundance of his heart, his mouth speaks. Your feelings are speaking for you. It's not the literal words that you're saying, it's the feelings that you're speaking. The husband is the head of the wife. Now, again, you got to think about this. And this is not relating to anything um, earthly, meaning men don't be disrespecting women in saying this, because it's not what it's referring to. It's literally referring to that the husband is the head of the wife. He's the one that's making the decisions, for lack of a better term. And when I refer to he, I'm saying the conscious mind is making the decisions of what it wants, and the subconscious is what's bringing it in. Um, which brings me to another thing too, or let me read this one first. I'm gonna say that after. This is a great mystery. And so this is St. Paul that wrote this. This is a great mystery. He that loveth his wife loveth himself, and they two shall be one flesh. So I'm going to read this again. He that loveth his wife loveth himself. So if I'm creating good, I'm just call it concepts or statements or whatever. If I'm creating, or actually, if I'm creating good feeling, that would be a better, more specific word to use or term. If I'm creating good emotions and feelings within my life, my subconscious is going to reflect that. And so when it's saying, he who loveth his wife loveth himself, if you love your subconscious, if you're feeding your subconscious good affirmations or emotions or whatever you want to call it, well, then you love yourself as well. So now we move on to chapter 2. And in chapter 2, he speaks about sleep. and why sleep is very important when it comes to manifesting. And so he gives this quote from the Bible: "In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon man, and slumbering upon the bed, then he openeth up the ear of men, and sealeth their instruction." Job 13:15. So again, literally what that's saying, because here's the thing: once you go to sleep, now you got a direct access to the subconscious mind. So whenever you're asleep, and it says here, he openeth the ear of men and sealeth the instruction. As you sleep, you should be embedding the last feeling before you go to sleep into your subconscious. And so that's something this book actually talks about. This feeling is a secret. It literally says the last feeling that you go to bed with when you fall asleep is going to be the feeling that your subconscious is constantly in. So think about how many nights you might have had an argument, or maybe you had a bad day at school, or even maybe you just went to the grocery store and somebody cut in line. And that's the last thing you go to bed with. That's on your mind. Well, there you go. You're falling asleep in a, or even because money is like the easiest one for everybody to understand. Say if you wanted to buy something and then it got declined, or you were supposed to make a certain amount of money and you ain't got it, and you go to bed, you fell asleep in lack. And you can't say you didn't because you're looking at your phone and you ain't got no money, and you feel that. You fell asleep in the feeling of lack. Now we move to chapter 3, which is prayer. When you pray, enter your closet, and when you have your door shut, pray to your Father, which is in secret, and your Father, which is in secret, shall reward you openly. Matthew 6:6. This is telling you when you go into your own mind that you're private, that you're in reception state of speaking to your subconscious. Prayer is an illusion of sleep, which diminishes the impression of the outer world and renders the mind more receptive to suggestions from within. The mind in prayer is in a state of relaxation and receptivity, akin to the feeling attained just before dropping off to sleep. Prayer is not so much about what you ask for as how you prepare for its reception. Whatever thing ye desire, when ye pray, believe that you have received them, and ye shall have them. Ugh. Fuck, I had a burp. Excuse me. Uh, Mark 11:24. So what is this saying? This is literally saying again, you have to feel it. You have to believe it. It's not about speaking it. The only reason why you keep speaking it is so eventually you could believe it. Um, but everything manifestation starts with the belief and the feeling that you already have attained whatever thing it is that you're trying to get. When you emerge from the moment of prayer, it is as though you were shown the happy and successful end of a play, although you were not shown how it ended or how it was achieved. However, having witnessed the end, regardless of any anticlimactic sequence, you remain calm and secure in the knowing that the end has been perfectly defined. So this is something that involves, or this is referring to something that involves something called the bridge of incidents. But I want to speak about this principle and how I always say there's laws of God. And so what I mean by that is laws of the universe, things that are universal, meaning they're principles in everything that we do. And so even in the courts, when you argue, right, like, and this, I'm not necessarily talking about no regular doing taxes. I'm talking about something very specific here, but just still understand the context. If you go into the court and the IRS tells you you owe $50,000, but you're trying to say you never, paid taxes or you never owed taxes, as soon as you say, "Well, I didn't even make 50,000," they got you. Why? Because now it's jumped from the presumption of did it happen to now we can assume this happened. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of arguing the facts to substantiate either side, whether you guys are right or we're right. So we're skipping right past the what if. And so it's really the same context here, especially when it's saying, um, regardless of how anticlimactic the sequence is, you remain calm and secure in the knowledge that the end has been perfectly defined. Why would you say, "I don't owe that much," if you never owed anything? It doesn't matter how much money you owed. And then specifically the manifestation, um, the bridge of incidents that go like this. I'm giving an example. say I meet someone at Safeway in May, and I just meet them. I don't know much about them, just whatever. I run into them, whatever. Now, fast forward to August. Say I see the same person, and the only reason they come up to me and introduce me to something is because I seen them in May. And so we sit there, we talk. This is in August now. We sit there, we speak for a bit, and then they introduce me to someone and just say I was trying to manifest a guitar or something, right? Well, he might have been best friends with the biggest guitar owner in town, and he's telling the guitar owner like, "Hey, I met this guy in May. He's really cool. Like, I think he plays guitar. Okay, now you get a free guitar." That's the bridge of incidents right there. So you can't necessarily be caught up on how something happened, more that you need to be caught up on the feeling of the end state, which is referred to as the wish fulfilled. Now, these are going to be the last two verses of this book, but we got two definitions we need to pay attention to. Or rather, two words, and learn the definitions of these words. So it's saith, Saith, and hath, Hath. So I'm going to read the first verse. Nor by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord of hosts. So what is saith? It says third person singular presence of say. So it's the third person presence of say. So let's read that again with that definition. Nor by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith. Back up. But by my spirit, third person singular presence of say, the Lord of hosts. So that's literally telling you that it's not by the power that you can have, it's not by the might and the courage that you can have that you manifest. It's singularly by the consciousness of your mind that you can manifest. Now, the second verse, to him that hath, it shall be given, and to him that hath not, it shall be taken. So what is hath? If sath is to say, hath is third person singular presence of have. So the third person thinking they have something. Remember, the third person is the consciousness. To him that have, it shall be given, and to him that have not, it shall be taken away. But that's not just have meaning to literally like possess. That's meaning the third person consciousness, to have thought, to have belief, to have feeling of emotion. To him that hath, it shall be given. To him that perceive his third person consciousness, emotion, whatever thing shall be given. To him that hath not, to him that does not perceive with their third person consciousness, said thing shall be taken away.
So I actually forgot to read this one while I was going over the book, but it is Romans 4:17. He calleth things that are not seen as though they were, and the unseen become seen. So what is the definition of the word calleth? It is third person singular simple present indicative of call. And so what does this word indicative mean? Serving as a sign or indication of something. So to read that again with that definition, it's saying the third person singular, simple present indication of something of call. So you can take that to, and honestly interpret it in your own way. But in my opinion, the way it's meant to be interpreted as your words of affirmation that you're speaking, which again go back to the fact that you speak these words to make yourself believe.
Water break. So overall, what is the message, the main message of this? You need to realize the subconscious mind and the conscious mind really work as one. They're not separate. I mean, they technically are separate, but they're supposed to come together and fuse as one. And so even in a worldly, men and women, there are so many, like, just, you could go on Facebook or Instagram or any social media and they're just always arguing. They're just always fighting against something. But what it's like they don't understand, and by them I'm just speaking to all men and women, is like to come together is to be the most powerful thing that you can be. And that literally starts in our mind with our subconscious and our conscious mind. But obviously, too, in the world of physical reality, we need to come together and just give love. And so it's telling you the emotions that you carry are what genuinely uh, alchemize and transmutate into physical matter. Your manifestations are quite literally what you think, but not so much what you literally think and perceive in your mind. What you think and you feel is conviction in your heart, um, as emotion and feeling. And so the main message that I want people, because this is, I'm almost building it up like a, you could say like this is video one, and then by the time I get to video 1,000, you know what I'm saying, it'll be building blocks for understanding. Um, but the main message is to understand that everything is created in the subconscious. Whatever you think, I don't care what you believe. This is literally just the truth. This is just how it is. Everything is created in the subconscious. Everything, or rather, well, yeah, everything is created in the conscious mind, really, I should say. Everything is created in the conscious mind. Everything that materializes into physical matter is ran through the subconscious mind. And the consciousness that we are physically is what can determine what the conscious mind is producing. So think of it like this. Say if I go to my job every day and I always get coffee, and I'm telling myself, man, I can't live without coffee. I love coffee. Like, I'm so glad they got coffee here, just thoughts like that. Well, I'm the conscious making that reality because I'm experiencing this, and I feel good because I got coffee here. And my subconscious is creating a reality where they ain't never going to run out of coffee. As soon as I tell myself, I don't want to drink coffee no more, I hate coffee, I can't stand coffee, I think it's making me sick, whatever, whatever. One, that's the consciousness actively changing what it is that the conscious mind is experiencing in reality. It's almost like to say the master coming down and like manually flipping a switch. Because ultimately we're the drivers, we're the masters. So it's like the master coming out and flipping the switch. And so the conscious mind is getting changed. Well, that changes too what the subconscious has to feed on. So now it creates a reality in which they don't ever have coffee at the job, or maybe, like the place you always get coffee from is always busy. You can't get coffee from there no more at work. And this will be a future video, but even something as simple as like that, like recognizing the line is long, I can't get coffee anymore. That's an intuition skill, like picking up to be able to say, man, I did that. Like that's a skill based off discernment and intuition to be able to judge, the reality changing around you, which is something a lot of people really aren't good at. They pray for manifestation, it comes, and then they just don't care. Like, they look for every excuse to continue getting what they get. You see that all the time. Like, I want a new man, I want a new woman, and then the new man, the new woman come. They can't leave the old person, but they were saying all this shit. Like, I don't like them, I don't like her. They ugly, they stink, they this, they this, and now it's like, okay, I can't leave. Um, but anyways, that's it. Hopefully this video helps someone. I had this saying, one like is worth 100 million dislikes. So, give me my one like so I can feel appreciated. But yeah, that's it.